I can share my screen, right, during the presentation?
Yeah, you can. So we are live now on YouTube.
Rajesh, can I request somebody to send the visitors link so I can just quickly share it? A few people are asking me.
Sure.
On WhatsApp or something.
I think when you speak to the Aajjo team, they will be able to. I'll just write to them.
I've sent Aajjo a message.
Yeah, sure.
Good morning, all our esteemed guests and all the attendees on different portal. I am your host, Aman Agarwal. Wishes you a very warm welcome on the last day of World Hospitality Expo 2022. World Hospitality Expo is India's largest hospitality event scheduled to be held over 5 days of showcasing new products and offerings, unparalleled expertise, limitless networking opportunities. The event focuses on exchange of new developments and the future of HoReCa sector in India. The World Hospitality is firmly focused on the arrival of new and cutting-edge technology used in commercial kitchen equipment sector, food and drink vending solutions, hotel and commercial cooking equipment, food processing plants and machineries, and beverages machinery. Thank you to each and everyone for being with us here today. We hope you all are safe and fine. Before we get started, I would like to express my gratitude to Aajjo.com, which is a leading online B2B marketplace for business products and services, for organizing this entire World Hospitality Expo amidst pandemic on the virtual setting with cooperation of you all. Without taking much of our esteemed guests' times, we'll proceed with our first session, which is on art of hospitality planning going micro. And for the session, we have speakers. Our first speaker is Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary, who is the founder of FSCAI, a sales leader with over 26 years of experience in managing sales and marketing operations. Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary is the managing director of HNS Business Solution, where they help business improve their operating models, build new strategies, and offer business solutions. Also, he's a producer at Ashmita and Amisha Films, releasing their first movie project in January 2022. Our second speaker for the day is Mr. Dayal C. Advani. Mr. Dayal C. Advani is the founder director of Hospitality Solutions Mumbai, India. He has an extraordinary experience of 44 years in the hospitality industry. Mr. Dayal C. Advani started his hospitality journey in 1972 when he joined IHM Mumbai, Asia's first catering institute. Our third speaker for the day is Mr. Swarn Kamal. Mr. Swan Kamal is the founder and principal kitchen consultant at Obstra Design. He has over 25 years of experience in hospitality industry and has expertise in facility planning and cloud kitchens. At Obstra, Mr. Swan Kamal has successfully participated in designing of kitchens for Cognizant, Amazon, Columbia Asia Hospitals, ABB, Mercedes, Boeing, Wells Fargo, WeWork, Columbia Pacific Senior Citizen Living, and Trichy and Bharati City School. Our first speaker for the day is Mr. Aditya Jhala. Mr. Aditya Jhala is the managing director of Gauranga Hospitality Private Limited. He has over 21 years of experience having expertise in catering, plumbing, feasibility studies, facility management, and the hospitality industry. Mr. Aditya Singh Jhala is in his years of experience has worked with the Oberoi Group, IHHR, Insta Bangalore, Golden Tulip, West Courtray, and is currently working with Gauranga Hospitality Private Limited. Our last speaker for the day is Mr. Neil Kamal Chauhan, who is the founding partner and director of Hospitality Planning Consulting Services Private Limited. He has over 14 years of experience in hospitality industry and has expertise in designing show and interactive kitchen, designing standard kitchen models and healthcare food service design. He previously worked with APG Consulting and made it renowned name in kitchen consulting. Thank you all the esteemed guests for joining us today. Handing over the session to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. It was really nice of you to have introduced everybody very well. I would like to start.
Mr. Rajesh, you are not audible. Yes, you are audible. Sorry.
Okay, I thought everybody heard me. Okay, so I would like to start by introducing myself. I'm Rajesh Chaudhary. Like you rightly said, I'm the founder for Food Service Consultants Association of India. Besides that, I have also co-founded International Hospitality Sales Professionals Forum, which is comprising of sales professionals from all over the world. And this is where we started this about 2 years ago. And we have sales professionals, members from various countries all over the world. We have recently conducted a seminar on this platform a couple of days ago. Our first seminar for FSCI was done on the 1st of February, and it was a roaring success. So I have about 26, 27 years of experience in sales, and I've worked with the various companies, started with ZTV. Then I had about 7.5, 8 years of doing ISO certification for companies. About 3,500 companies have been associated that were certified for ISO 9000, 14,000. The first hotel to be certified for ISO 14,000 was Moria Sheraton. Madam Sunira Aluwalia was the vice president, and I was involved in that process of certification of ISO and 14,000. And done a lot of training programs. Mr. Prabhakar Singh was training head of Taj. Those days, we have done a lot of work with the Taj hotels for the training. A lot of SPC, SQC for PepsiCo and statistical planning programs, and a lot of Deming Prize, TQM programs. So, and then I had a company of my own where I did events and also recruitment training while I was in Delhi. Moved to a company called Anil Kamal. I was heading India and subcontinent. I was heading South India for Anil Kamal. Then I moved to TNS. I was heading India and subcontinent. On September 17th, I quit my job and we formed FSCI. We launched FSCI on the 24th of September at the IHE show. We had a lot of distinguished guests, and it was really a gala event where a lot of consultants from all over the country attended. So the idea of forming FSCI was actually, I have been involved with consultants for the past many years. And a couple of years ago, a gentleman who is here, Mr. Dayal Advani, also expressed his interest to start an association. Dayal sir, would you like to add something to what I'm going to say? You are on mute, Dayal sir, or you are on mute. Yeah.
Namaskar and good morning to all the participants this morning. I've been in consultation for hospitality for almost 40 years. And a lot of consultants whom I've known over these years, we've hardly met, we've hardly sat across, had a professional chat, or maybe even a fellowship. We just say hi, hello when we meet at the exhibitions or some events. But it was always my desire that we all be on one platform, we be together to share our knowledge, to know what's happening in the industry, in our country, and the hospitality industry across the globe. Not everyone travels outside the country. For the knowledge of those who don't travel, I thought it was their right to know, learn, and we should share our expertise with everyone, and we all should be on one platform. It was my keen desire that we form a forum, we form an association, and we put everyone together. So not really being a senior, there are others also senior to me, but I took the initiative that we should form an association. So I formed a WhatsApp group, but didn't get much response from consultants across the country to form the group and then see how to go about forming the association. I had a call from Mr. Vijay Bembe of Elanpro, and later on emerged was Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary. I think he came as an angel and he took the initiative. Whatever was my vision, it became his mission, and he formed the association. I'm really grateful to him. A dream comes true. I'm very happy to see the association formed and members now pouring in to join and make our association strong, and we get the strength to support the hospitality industry that has grown in the last 2 decades in our country. even though there has been a slowdown, but during this period of slowdown, the industry needs support from technical support from all of us, paid or unpaid. We are there to support the industry to now survive and revive. That's the motto of the Food Service Consultants Association of India. We are not here to make money. We want the industry to revive. We want projects to survive. We want the jobs to come back to all the employees who are now out of their jobs. So we stand together on one platform with all strength. We are here to support the industry as much as possible. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh, for having formed this association.
Thank you, sir. So basically, like you mentioned, the objective is to collaborate and come up with solutions for the industry right now, which is reeling under tremendous losses, and a lot of hotels are closing down. A lot of restaurants are on the verge of closing, and people are losing jobs. Recently, I was reading an article. It was really startling to see that so many people are losing jobs and livelihoods. So, yeah, I think the primary objective is to collaborate and sharing of knowledge. It should be a knowledge sharing platform. We should bring about some regulation in the industry. Basically, we were discussing a couple of weeks ago that all the associations need to come together and pitch to the government that we should make Horeca as a Horeca segment as an industry, to give an industry status, and various other objects. We want to take this international. So I would like to start this session by introducing our first speaker. Of course, I will share in the due course of time people who would like to join as a member. We would like to share all the information with you when you contact us. And also, we are open for institutional memberships. Please do contact us. Our first speaker for the day is Mr. Dayal Advani. We had the first session. He had a wonderful session on that day, and then we would like to him to continue again in today's session. So Mr. Dayal Advani is an alumni of 1976 batch of IHM Mumbai. He has been a ex-chef instructor since from 1976. I was 3 years old then, by the way, and to 1980. He has been a mentor to many chefs in the hospitality profession across the globe. Mr. Advani founded Hospitality Solutions, which was earlier known as AB and Associates in Mumbai. He's been a master hospitality consultant since 40 years, and in providing total hospitality project solutions to over 250 projects in India, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, UK, North Cyprus, Thailand, Hong Kong, Africa. Mr. Advani, a hospitality wizard, has been involved from site selection, project approvals, master project planning, to micro facility planning of back of the house areas. Besides project coordination as a master in guiding PMCs for cost-effective and timely completion of several projects there. Mr. Advani, as a hospitality management expert and culinary guru, has commissioned several projects, hotels, restaurants in India and in other countries with prime culinary standards and hospitality operations, systems and controls. He has mastered the art of education and is a passionate trainer, developing skills of top management to the lower cadre of any hospitality organization. A successful master hospitality consultant for 40 years, and he says he's still learning. Great attitude, sir. He's available 24/7, 24/7 for his clients in the West and East India to support developments of growth and the crucial period of the pandemic, to ensure all safety standards are complied with for assuring customer service. Mr. Dayal Advani always enjoys building a team and collaborates with his peer groups to create the best out of them. Mr. Advani's objective is to build knowledge bank of hospitality dedicated to his mentor, late Padma Shri Madam Tangam Philip, Principal Emeritus of IHM Mumbai. So today his topic is role of consultants in hospitality projects. Mr. Advani, over to you. Another side of Mr. Advani, he's a wonderful chef, And whenever you go to his office or his place, amazing samosas. So do pay him a visit. You will not come back. You really have a great time. So over to you, Mr. Advani. Thank you all for smiling. Mr. Advani, over to you.
Thank you. Namaskar once more to all the participants this morning attending the World Hospitality Expo 2022. Friends, all of you here may belong to the hospitality business industry, and some of you may not belong to the hospitality industry. You may belong to the equipment industry. You may want to set up a project, get into a business in hospitality. First of all, we have to understand what is hospitality and what does hospitality stand for. And what does hospitality cover? We normally think a hospitality industry is a hotel or a restaurant. A hotel is a place where we link up, where a person can stay. In the earlier days, years and years, centuries and centuries ago, people traveled, right? And as they traveled on the horsebacks, they stayed in the inns and the lodges as they came across. They spent the night. Okay, they did not pay money. They gave in exchange something they had, and they got accommodation to spend the night over. Slowly came the growth of the inns, the lodges, and the hotels. So God knows when the first hotel came up. I mean, somewhere history we have to get into it, and who planned it and who designed it. And as the industry grew, right, we've seen on the list across the globe the number of hotels they have come up in different formats of different grades. Which was the first hotel professionally designed? I don't know myself. But the first hotel which came up in Mumbai, as I learned as a student, was the Taj Hotel, which was initiated by late pioneer Mr. J.R.D. Tata, founder of the Tata Group, father of aviation in India. He started the Taj Hotel, and that was designed by various architects and designers he got from outside the country. The first five-star hotel of Mumbai with a swimming pool is and was Sun and Sand, where I did my first job. So how many hotels were really designed by professional architects and consultants? In our country, maybe the course for architecture started later on, took time for people to learn architecture and designing. People just constructed the way they wanted, and projects just came up, not haphazardly, but not with a sense of design elements, greatness, perfection, productive designs and layouts as we see today. So the hospitality industry today, as we know, covers up hotels, resorts, restaurants, eateries, cafes, fast foods, quick service restaurants. Quick service restaurants is something like a McDonald's, right? Then we have food trucks parked in various streets, and we can just stand near the truck, pick up a food, get into your car and eat, or stand there and eat. We have the bars in different formats as pubs and lounge bars. We have banquet and convention centers, airport lounges. Oh my God, they're fantastic. Designed superb. Airport lounges, kiosks, and food courts. We have the malls and the entertainment centers growing across the country and across the globe with food courts and restaurants, central kitchens, and food production units. We also have corporate cafes and lounges. Earlier, the industries had just simple cafeterias for their staff. Now we see a lot of food factories which have come up with packaged foods. We could just see packets of some namkeens and some chips available to us. But today you see a lot of food factories that have come up They have ready-to-eat foods packed up. They have frozen foods. They have dehydrated foods. They have frozen desserts. Mithais were prepared in just a halwai's dukan. Behind the shop was a workshop where there were two kadais and two fryers, and they were just doing the mithais. But today there are plants which professionally make mithais in a very hygienic environment, pack them up, and mithais exported outside the country from India. We are really proud of what has happened in the last 2 and 3 decades in India. We see big bakery plants. It was just the Britannias doing the bread, but there are now n number of bakery units we see that do breads and bakery products in a big way. We also come across, besides bakeries, various beverage industries packing beverages in different formats, in Tetra Packs and bottles. Now, all this calls for technology. Technology to develop the product, to make the product, right? To make the product in a systematic way, to get maximum output with least staff employed. That's very, very important to cut down our manpower cost. And all that can happen, least manpower, only when we have a good layout. If we don't have a good layout, if we don't have good design equipment, then we have too many people employed and everybody's running here and there to get things moving to complete their productions. So a proper layout is very important, whether it's doing beverages, whether it's doing cakes, pastries, or whatever it may be. I now wish to highlight what exactly has happened as far as the hospitality industry is concerned at large, covering a major hotels. So my focus on design, equipment, layouts is related to hotels. But the same applies for a restaurant, it applies for a mall, and various other segments of hospital industry, which I've just explained. Basically, when somebody wants to develop a project, he needs to do a survey as to where he needs to do the survey to do the project. So he needs to decide on the location. He needs to justify himself that there is a business potential, right? Once he's convinced that yes, he needs to do the project, say it's in a metro city or any other place where there is competition or no competition, there will be sufficient business to acquire business of a volume to make profits. There's no point in doing a project in a place where there's no adequate business, you don't have enough volumes, and you're not going to generate profits. So very important is the location of the project you take up to do, right? Now, who would help you to take such decisions that there is going to be a right business potential? All owners may not be able to judge this. They have resources, they have funds. They have funds to put in the money to put up the project, but they don't have the technical know-how to take a yes or no decision. So this can be supported by a technical expert who is essentially a hospitality expert with an work experience in hospitality, not just basic knowledge of hospitality. He should have in-depth knowledge of hospitality. Only then he can help the owners to take the right yes or no decision to do the project. So that's how he helps the developers to do a survey the competitors for the particular location and see how well they are doing. The most important thing would be to decide what is the project profile. Now, this also is done by the master consultant, a hospitality consultant who's appointed by the owner. That's the project profile. Now, once we say yes, then we say the project is feasible and we go ahead and we take a decision to do the project. And knowing what the project profile is, we need to help us design the building where the project is going to come up. Whether it's a hotel, it's a resort, it's a health resort or a restaurant or an entertainment complex, whatever it may be. Now, who is the person who's the designer? He is the architect, the principal architect. An architect is a qualified person to design the structure, to make a master plan, understand what the owner wants, what the technical consultant is recommending, what he wants in the building. So he draws an outline, okay, what should go into the building. So that's called a building plan, right? Now each block of the building, right, in the plan has to be laid up with furniture in the front, okay. When we put the equipment in the kitchens, it's called an equipment layout. When we draw an outline on the walls, we know that's called a plan. That's the difference between a plan and a layout. We do the front office, we do the lobby, we put the furniture. So we are doing the layout of the lobby. We are designing the lobby. We are designing the rooms, but first we are doing the layout of the rooms by placing the furniture in the rooms, in the bathroom, the guest rooms. So that's doing the room layout. Then comes the interior designer who designs, who gives the design concept to the rooms, to the lobby, and to the front areas. So we have the architect and the designers who come in to support the project in drafting a master plan. Right? Today's time we have come across as a Vastu consultant. He tells you where's the entry, where's the back door, where you should have the door. So we are influenced, the architects and the consultants are influenced by the thought process of the Vastu consultant. Nonetheless, important is the licensing consultant who tells you that you are closer to the airport, so your building cannot be of a height beyond so many meters. Right? And he tells you that, look, the area of your land is so much and you cannot construct more than this. This is the permissible limit as per the local municipal authorities. So he's called the licensing architect. We have a legal advisor who makes sure that before you buy the land or you sign the documents, right, your solicitors, your legal advisor is your solicitor, right? They confirm, yes, the land documents are correct or the land is on lease and your proper documentation, right? So he's a legal advising consultant. Then we have the company secretary who helps you in forming the company. It's a private limited company, public limited company, chartered accountants who guide you for the future taxation laws, for GST matters, professional tax matters. We have a finance consultant who helps in compiling the project cost report, the cost given by the architect, interior designer, right, and the principal consultant as to what is the cost of the equipment and other things essential to complete the hospitality project, be a hotel, resort, restaurant, or whatever it may be. The more important, the building plan is ready, right? Now, who's going to take the guarantee the structure is going to stand in place? It's not going to collapse. So the building has to be structurally sound design. Okay, is it an earthquake zone? Is it closer to the sea? How strong is the foundation going to be? How tall the building is going to be? So this team of experts are called structural consultants. Now, besides structural consultants, we have the food facility planning to be done in detail for back of the house areas of a hotel or a restaurant. Now, what are back of the house areas? This is not just the kitchen. It's the stores, it's a receiving area. Very important today, the staff facilities, admin facilities, office facilities. In a hotel, it's called the housekeeping, the purchase department, and so on. Now, all this is to be done by a facility planning consultant. The principal consultant, the master consultant appointed by the owners at the preliminary stage, he may be a facility planner. So we may not need a facility planning consultant. But some of the master hospitality consultants don't get into planning, doing the equipment layouts for back of the house areas. So a facility planning consultant is invited to take care of the back of the house areas, as we call them. Now, very important is the architect wants lighting, plumbing, electrical. So we cannot throw electrical points, run cables of any size. We cannot put drainage pipes of any size. It's all technically learned now. We have engineers, qualified engineers in our country and across the world. So they are such experts now who are there to advise what the contractors should do and not to take the owner for a ride by increasing the cost of installations for plumbing, electrical, HVAC, which is ventilation, air conditioning, and so on. So these consultants are called MEP consultants. Now, everybody is fond of good lighting and everything good in the interiors, right? But not realizing what electricity bills would be. So it's killing to have high energy costs to operate a hotel. So that can be controlled. And today we have energy conservation consultants who guide you, watch the lighting levels in different areas, what sort of light fixtures we should purchase, which help us to cut down on our lighting bills, right? So these lighting solution consultants join the energy conservation consultants in the selection of the lighting systems for the exteriors as well as the interiors. Ultimately, a small investment made for these consultants may add to the cost of the construction of the project, but helps you to cut down on the running cost of the hotel, of the property, whatever you design. Now, most important today is fire safety. We have high-rise buildings coming up. So we have fire safety consultants. We have work safety consultants who advise you as to what we have to take into consideration for planning to ensure work safety. Now, everybody is working on the project, on the plan, right? But to implement and to put together and to get the project going and to complete in time and a controlled cost, who will do it? So we have management consultants who coordinate the project as project management consultants with bar charts, per charts, and they control the construction activities, they control the costs, they control the quality of construction, quality of interiors, and they are called project management consultants. Larger projects, call for security controls, and various security systems are being now installed with technology. So there are experts who advise us on security control, and we could think of appointing somebody who's specialized as a security control consultant, or it could be taken care of by the expert hospitality consultant along with the architects and the MEP consultants. Nonetheless, as we have progressed, we have come across something, a box, and that's called the computer. Then we have CCTVs, we have laptops, we have various technologies, and they are all IT-based technologies. So we have the Wi-Fi. We cannot do without it. Look, where are we today? All of us. We are in different parts of India. There are some of you who are outside India, but we are all connected. We are all together. We don't have to visit an exhibition. This is a virtual exhibition. This is technology. This is information technology based. So there's so much of growth and learning, and they're experts for this. They spend time to learn, to advise. So they are information technology consultants. To sell the product when it's ready, to advertise, to create an image, they are brand imaging consultants. We need people to run and operate the property, the hotel. And a hotel may have 100 employees, 200 employees, to control them, to have the employment contracts, to follow labor laws and regulations. We have the HR consultant. Now we have various brands of hotels. We have domestic brands in India. We have the Taj group of hotels. We have the Oberoi hotels. We have the Orchid hotels and various other brands supporting the developers to operate their properties. But there are some owners who, as in the past, desire to start the property and run the property with expertise or without expertise. So all those who worked in the industry and they retired and halfway they gave up their jobs and they became consultants. So did I 40 years ago, having worked as a general manager. I gave up my job and I opted to share my knowledge and expertise with the industry. So what emerged was the hotel operations management consultants to guide the owners to employ the managerial team from the top to the lowest cadre, put them in the right place with the right salaries, put the systems in place, do menu engineering, right? And get the project going to highest standards with all expertise we see happening across the globe. All this is happening very good. So we need to market our properties. So we have experts today, business development consultants who go about how to tell you to put your product, okay, it's a hotel or resort, right? A restaurant, a cafe, or even your bakery product, okay, on a platform to create an awareness. And they are your business development consultants to help you to improve and continue your image of the product. So my friends, very important is a market survey, a project profile, a feasibility and a viability report, project development cost estimates, very important. We cannot go without it. We have then a master project planner with the architect and the designer who goes ahead to help you to take a final decision. Yes, do the project or don't do it. It's not going to be viable. You'll not make money, right? And then finally decide whether you want a band to operate your hotel, right? Or you're going to run it on your own. So I repeat, the principal master hospitality planner, these are his main functions, right? Now, what we need to do is, the next step is to approve the master plan, right? Along with the entire team, get the approvals from the local authorities, start the construction. But each box in the building, the front areas will be taken care of by the architect and the designer. The back areas, the back of the house areas would be taken care of by the facility planner. Back of the house, facility planning consultant, hospitality consultant appointed by the owners, who, as I said, could be the master hospitality consultant, or the master hospitality consultant selects somebody to take care of this part. So he would plan the kitchens, the stores, receiving, and so on. So this is micro space allocation planning with the architect as per the brief from the master hospitality consultant and or brand operators who have the specifications, what they want, where, and how much area they want, which is today a prime essential knowledge requirement for the consultants who have grown to become consultants and to design the projects. Now, each of these areas, the kitchens and the housekeeping, the stores and so on, we need to place the equipments in the right place to make them productive. So the expertise of the food facility planner, right, he places the desired equipment in the right way so that as people walk in these different areas, whether housekeeping in the stores, there's minimum travel for people who are working. Less fatigue, less movements, controlled movements, and shorter time to complete the product. So that's based on time and motion studies. That's based on work simplification, work study. Now, all those who have studied work simplification and work study and time and motion studies can do layouts with all this into consideration. As a chef works in the kitchen, everything is within his hand's reach. Or he's traveling up and down from the work table and the gas range to the refrigerator, which may be 10 feet away, and he's wasting time, dropping things and taking time to make a dish. So today's perfection comes in by placing everything essentially in back of the house areas in the right place to maximize productivity with lesser people to work. Today's regulations, norms, Food Safety Act, and various bodies tell us that we should not have people working close to each other, social distancing. So I believe in the kitchens, we cannot have one staff member, okay, standing next to the next person. There should be a gap of at least 10 feet between people. Now, how is that going to happen in small kitchens? Kitchens are already built, hotels are already operating. So these need to be rectified. So we have to work with minimum people in our back areas to ensure that safety standards are maintained, and that is work safety. We have the staff facilities, right? Staff facilities should be adequate with correct number of toilets, pots and showers and urinals for the staff, so they're not queuing up to waste time. So all these facilities are planned out by the back of the house area consultant. Based on this, the civil requirements are given by the facility consultant to the architect. So the architect gives the positions of the walls to the structural consultant required by the back of the house consultant. So there are internal walls in the kitchens or in the stores, those are taken care of. Tomorrow the facility consultant wants a wall in the kitchen and the structural consultant says, no, I cannot give it to you. The slab cannot take the load. There's no beam below it. It's what will happen, right? Sunken floors are not provided. Who's going to do it? So it's the back of the house consultant who in time gives the requirements to the architect. So it's very important to get the facility planners and the hospital consultants at the right time, not after you finish the construction of the building and there's no sunken floor to lay out drainage lines. So this is the role of the facility planners to help the architects, to help the owners to put things into place at the right time and to create a back area which is productive, which will help the operations team to work with efficiency. What is efficiency? Is to work with perfection. Right? All that can happen provided our layouts are right. And that can happen only if there's a mastermind involved in putting things in place on paper before you build and you purchase equipment. Strangers cannot do a layout. Strangers cannot do a layout. Then a compounder can give an injection, or nurse can do the delivery, then the doctor is not required. I'm not trying to sell the scope of consultants to the industry developers, but I'm trying to highlight that everybody is essentially required to put things in place at the right time. The nurse cannot be pulling the baby out for the delivery, right? And then the gynecologist comes in to cut the umbilical cord. No, the doctor is required in time to bring the baby out healthy. So the product, the hotel or the restaurant that is being developed by the hotel owner, right? He needs to have a healthy product which is going to survive and be healthy. So if it's not done well, if it's not designed well, then there's any possibility of a not really 100% failure, but of things going wrong. So you will see delayed service in the restaurant. Why? Because the length of the pickup counter is not enough. Number of gas ranges are not enough. There aren't adequate refrigerators in the kitchen to pre-prepare the food and keep the food half done in the refrigerators to execute the a la carte orders for the restaurants and the cafes. So this efficiency comes in, okay, only with knowledge, and knowledge comes in only with experience. So very important is once the designing is complete, we have to procure everything in time. We have to procure everything within a budget, right? And get them installed for the owners and the operations team so that they have a good experience of working with efficiency. And that calls for comparative studies for all the equipment that is going to be ordered, to negotiate well, to order well, not just order, but to inspect the equipment before it's being installed. And this is today the knowledge a facility planner not just puts on paper, but he actually works with the project consultants, with the project management consultants until the end stage to complete the project and to hand over to the brand who's going to operate the hotel or the team appointed by the owners who are going to operate the hotel or the restaurant. So very important is the completion of the back of the house areas. The front beauty of the building, the architecture, best of the lobby, best of the rooms is of no value if back of the house areas are not planned correctly. They are at the back, right? So this is the back of the house architecture. Front design is very important, very, very important, right? But doubly important is the back of the house architecture. So as we come to the starting the project, we have the operations management consultant who's going to guide the owner if he's not tying up with a brand to start off the hotel by appointing the operations team, the general manager, the chefs, the restaurant manager, and so on, by planning first primarily what is the total manpower required to start off. What is the budget of the manpower? From where to source them? Planning the systems, computerization, selection of hardware and software, coordinating with the IT consultants for hardware selections, not to go overboard. Where to have the ordering systems with ordering pads, or go the manual way. Menu engineering, very important. What sort of menu will sell, right, for a particular location? Ordering various operating supplies. And this is very, very important for the operations management consultant if he's supporting the owner to select all the supplies, the adequate quantity of supplies, not to buy extra, not to buy less, buy the right quality, check for the durability. So again, this comes with experience. Now, what's next important is the pre-opening trials before we start off the project to the public. So we do project commissioning, we do the audits, and do a development of the management information systems, what the general manager gets, what the owner gets, the daily reports, right? How we are performing our revenue, our costs, our purchases, everything's on paper at our desk. And this is the role of the operations management consultant. So we have consultants of different categories in the field of hospitality, and they are there to support industry to grow.
There are also 5 minutes.
I thank the team listening to me with patience. Right, there's no end to what information we can share. So we're going to have a lot more seminars in the months to come to share our knowledge and help the industry and the new developers to grow. So building strength and sharing knowledge and skills for a progressive hospitality and food industry is the aim and objective of the Food Service Consultants Association of India. Thank you very much, and namaskar.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us with your experience, knowledge. And I am sure a lot of people who are watching on YouTube and watching us live would have taken notes. Our next speaker, anybody who has questions may please put it in the chat, and at the end we'll take all the questions. Our next speaker for today is Mr. Kamal, a dear friend and a very experienced person, a very dynamic and handsome looking person. Mr. Kamal is a hotel management graduate with 25 years of experience in F&B operations. He calls himself a student of hospitality, and his expertise in concept development for F&B of various skills. He loves to help F&B brands with guiding them towards profitability. He has been instrumental on developing F&B concepts for Flipkart, various food park of Embassy Builders, Bhartiya City, etc. He has a long distance. He's a long distance runner and likes playing badminton. He loves reading on various subjects like time, travel, sports, leadership, ways to control food wastage, etc. His goal in life is to help 100 F&B brands in making them success. And besides that, he's a very good networker. I believe he loves to network, and a very knowledgeable person. He writes a lot of articles that I read. Almost every article of his I've read. So over to you, Mr. Kamal.
Thank you very much, Rajesh, and a warm welcome. Thanks for the introduction, and you've been generous in saying that, whatever I'm doing. But yes, as you said rightly, Good morning all. And I really am a student of hospitality. I founded Obstra about 6 years ago, and with the sole ambition of, to learn, because when I started learning, when we were going through our own curves of learning in the industry, we realized that there's a lot that needs to be done. There is a lot that needs to be worked around in the hospitality industry. Though I am not have not worked full time in hotels, but have with the help of my colleagues around me, with the help of Neil Kamal, who's here, who's been a kind of a teacher to me in helping me learn the facility planning. He always, now he's smiling, but these are the people. In fact, Amit Sen Vaidya, who's my batchmate, and we have studied together. He's as good as so many other industry leaders. So these are the people who have kind of taught me whatever I've learned today. And I think my learning is only about, I would say, only 5% in the overall scheme of things. And every day I learn. In Obstra, we have created a team of professionals who are from hospitality background, and our sole focus has been on seeing that how do we learn, how do we keep upgrading ourselves to add value to the hospitality industry. A lot of details have already been given by Mr. Dayal, who's also kind of a guru. I have started interacting off late with him, and there is a lot to learn. And he's been very helpful in, with small and big questions. And so coming back to the topic that I've been given to speak, I will not go as micro as Mr. Dayal Advani sir, but yes, I'll stay to the topic because there are a lot of people, viewers, people who are seeing us live on YouTube, people who would like to maybe start their own restaurants. The failure rate, as I said, the restaurant is very, very high. So what does it take, for a restaurant to become successful? And that is why we started Obstra. So my topic today is to talk about the refrigeration system in the food service industry. And I will just take a moment and start sharing my screen. Give me a second. Just give me a thumbs up if my screen is visible. Thank you very much. Thanks for the confirmation. Now, adding on to the point that Mr. Advani was saying that, how going macro helps in facility planning, how important it is for a food and beverage organization to get into detail even before, the conceptualization taking place. And when we have different industry experts like the architects, the interior designers, the MEP consultants, the HVAC consultants, the structural consultants, it is also important as for us as a facility planner to start playing our role into it. And when we talk about food service design, the one of the largest piece in food service design is refrigeration, because what we are doing in hospitality or what we are doing in F&B industry is basically we are selling food and beverages of various forms. So whether we talk about hotels or restaurants, and whether we talk about food courts, whether we talk about the airport lounges, all the F&B units requires refrigeration. And why refrigeration? Because since we are serving food, protecting the integrity of the food is very important, and that only gets happened by having quality refrigeration, by having adequate refrigeration, by knowing which refrigeration gets used for what, and how do we optimize those refrigerations which is being given. Because all we know as a layman, खाना खराब हुआ, we keep in the खराब होने से पहले उसको फ्रिज में रख दीजिए, वो खराब नहीं होता है. But we don't get into the science of वो खराब क्यों नहीं होता है, or what are the challenges that comes in. So when we talk about the refrigeration in food service design, basically we must understand what is the purpose of refrigeration. So just to make understand, the purpose of refrigeration is very simple. One, it is being done for food safety, to which I was broadly talking about. So as per the HACCP or the food safety control point says, the food The cold food has to be maintained from 1 to 5 degrees centigrade to ensure that the bacteria doesn't grow. And the frozen food has to be kept at -18 to -20. I've just written -18 there. So this is the prime concept of keeping the food refrigerated. The frozen food has to be kept at -18, and all the other cold food has to be taken at less than 5 degrees centigrade, because if it has not been kept at those temperatures, what happens is there are all the chances that bacteria will multiply, and then it will create the problems of food poisoning, the customer experience going bad, not giving the right food to the customers that you or guests that you would like to offer. The second purpose of refrigeration is for display and sale, like how we see on airports or supermarkets, or the coffee shops of our restaurant, their self-service unit, where their grab and goes are there. So these display and sale units are also a kind of refrigeration, and this is also the second purpose of refrigeration. And third is that understanding the entire process of refrigeration, gives enhanced shelf life to the product, because in food that we eat in our restaurants, or what we serve in our restaurants or in hotels, it has changed multiple hands, right? Like, where it was grown, how it is transported, where it was being held, how it is being kept at my own premises. So my processes of keeping the refrigeration ensures that my products that I am ultimately going to serve to my guests has got an enhanced shelf life. Moving on, what are the types of refrigeration equipments? So I broadly would call them into two. So there are two kinds of refrigeration equipments. One is by process. Most of the refrigerated equipments that we see and we know of are basically holding equipments. So those are the equipments which is kind to be made to hold the temperature. And the other process is that normally, the laymen will not know, of course our fraternity knows, is quick chilling and freezing. That ensures that it gives a longer life to a product. This basically used in large manufacturing units. It gets used in hotels, it gets used in banquet halls, whereas the food has to be held for some time before it kind of gets used once again. Other by type is the chillers, which is at 1 to 5 degrees centigrade, and the freezers, which are at -18 to -20 degrees centigrade. To make it easier for the people to understand that, what are the holding equipments, that then the list can still go on, because there are just some items that has been written. So all the walk-in chillers and freezers are holding equipments, means they have been meant to only hold the temperature of the food. Though effectively what happens is when you keep the food for a longer time, the temperature of the product does go down. But actually all these equipments that I'm talking about today, whether they are freezers, chillers, are being meant to hold the temperature of the food. And that is how the integrity of that equipment has been done. And that is how the integrity of the product gets maintained. Because if that cycle doesn't get maintained, what happens is the food integrity goes for a toss, and ultimately the customer experience suffers. And the prime focus of us as a hospitality professionals, our job is to ensure that the food is safe and safe to consume. So example of holding equipments are the walk-in chillers, freezers, reach-in, under-counter refrigerators, worktop refrigerators. We call them, some of them under-counter chillers and freezers, open chillers. Now, these are the examples of some of the holding equipments that we have. Like, if we just go through the list, there are walk-in chillers, there are upright freezers, there are display units, which gets used in a grab and go or retail that we see. We also have those display units, which gets broadly used for keeping sandwiches or maybe displaying of pastries, those under-counter chillers and bar coolers. The quick chilling and freezing equipments are the blast freezers and the blast chillers. So now the purpose of these equipments are to ensure the food which has been cooked, to bring it down to a food safe temperature in a real quick time. And real quick time is just a notion, but actually as per the food safety norms, the food which is hot, from 50 degrees, it should be brought to less than 5 degrees centigrade in about 90 to 120 minutes. And in blast freezers, when we are freezing, it can go up till about about 180 minutes per se. So, and this gets used mostly in factories and the bakery units, a lot of manufacturing units that they use it. Now, nowadays, there are a lot of technological advancement that has happened in refrigeration. And these basically are helping the chefs. These are basically helping the operations team in maintaining their integrity of the food. So now we have temperature controlled system. It gets monitored through your BMS. So like, when I'm working in a large atmosphere or a large kitchen or a large food and manufacturing facility, the chefs can see the real time temperatures. It is available on app. It can be connected to your BMS systems. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to the main operators to know that whether my chillers are functioning right, because there are a number of them, and you really need a strict vigil to understand that what is my actual temperature of my one particular refrigerator is. Reducing the cooling loss while opening and closing. So these are one of those challenges which remains. But I think the refrigeration industry, the equipment manufacturers, there must be a lot of equipment manufacturers who are there. They are working on whenever we open the refrigerator, there's a lot of cooling loss that happens, and actually the product integrity goes for a toss. And we work on also the refrigerators today. They also work on single compressors, adding multiple units that reduces the overall capex as well as opex. It makes the control very easy. It makes the system management very easy. It makes it also helps in reducing the cost. So we don't have to maintain multiple units. All we have to do is maintain only a couple of compressors to ensure my entire food system is working fine. Now, the most of the bar chillers or the under counter chillers that we have in our kitchens or in the bar, most of the time they have been kept back to back, so it doesn't get enough air circulation. So there is a technology which has come as U-flow technology. So what happens is the breathing doesn't happen from back and front. The breathing in and out both happens from the front. So here what happens is that, even though there is, the equipment's being kept back to back, it just doesn't, because most of the time it's like our, those windows are like our nose. If we block everything and expect that, the body to function right, it doesn't work. So U-flow technology is a new technology which is coming to refrigeration. And, I think in refrigeration, we need more ideas. We need more innovations. Because we're all talking about today is the time when we're all eating at homes, COVID times, there are a lot of deliveries coming in, there are frozen food factories coming in, there are cloud kitchens coming. I think the refrigeration industry has to still work a lot, towards producing, the upcoming demand or the requirement of the industry. And I would leave the forum on a note that, we also need the refrigeration industry to work on. In my previous slide, I just spoke about how cooling loss happens in the door opening and closing. So we need better technology there so that, we don't have a cool air loss, which effectively affects the quality of my food that is being kept. And the most of the refrigerants that gets used in our refrigeration systems are CFC, right? These CFC gases, chlorofluorocarbons, are the ones which is going and affecting our ozone layer. It's an irony, but all our systems are working on CFC. Like we have all the freon gases which is being used, R404, R414A. They're all actually going and damaging my ozone systems. So we need to have a better refrigerant, a natural refrigerant maybe, which kind of doesn't, not giving a damage to my overall atmosphere. And with this, I would like to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak on refrigeration. Have a great day on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swan Kamal. I request Mr. Aditya Jhala to switch on his video. Our next speaker is Mr. Aditya Jhala. Mr. Jhala has more than 20 years of experience He is currently the founder and director of Gauranga Hospitality. He's one of the leading hospitality consultancy companies incorporated in July 2012 to provide facility planning, consultancy services, and kitchen design, laundry design to reputed chains of hotels, clubs, restaurants, staff, canteens, bars, flight services, hospitals, education institutions, call centers, and the other industry. He has worked with hospitality at Westcourt. He has also worked with South Asia at Manager Project South Asia at Golden Tulip Hotels. He has also worked with ISTA Bangalore, and also with Trident Kochi and at the Oberoi Group. He has got a huge list of projects that he has done, about 22 institutes that are notable are Mayo College, the National Institute of Design, NID Bangalore, NID Yenopa Medical College, Mangalore, and a lot of other healthcare projects. So, he has been a part of some of the presentations that we did, and he's been on some of the forums that I have organized, and he speaks well, and I think he has in-depth knowledge even in the sector where shipping companies and very, very vast knowledge he has. It has been a wonderful association with him. And over to you, Mr. Jhala.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, for such a nice introduction, and Aajjo, and for giving me this opportunity to speak on the subject. So, firstly, I'd like to the topic which I'll be talking on is lighting in healthcare and in hotels. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is because lighting is something which is not used to the best aspect or the best manner in most hotels or in healthcare. And that actually has a negative impact on the way we work or the way we get treated. So it's going to be a small presentation. What I'll do is I'll just go through it. So basically what I'll be talking about is we'll start with hospitals. So I'll be talking about the introduction. I'll also be talking about the electrical supply system, the planning parameters, importance of natural light. Now, in a hospital, natural light plays a very, very important role. And why does it do so? So we'll be going through that. And I'll also be sharing some charts on illumination and maybe concluding on that. So, so what is lighting? Lighting is actually very critical in a healthcare facility. It is important because it has to satisfy a lot of people who actually come into the hospital. Now, people who come into the hospital are people for OPD, your doctors, your visitors. All of the people who come in are impacted by the quality of lighting. Now, if you enter a room which is friendly, which is inviting, and the light is nice, you automatically feel happy. You automatically feel at ease. However, if you enter a room where there's very harsh lighting or inadequate lighting, you feel not so at ease, and the way you feel impacts the way you're going to be treated and the way the doctor, and it also impacts the days of discharge, etc. So there are actually two parts in lighting in a hospital. One is biological and one is physiological. Biological is that good lighting helps you stabilize your circadian rhythm, which is your heart rhythm, and helps improves your overall mood and contributes to a better night's sleep. Psychologically, a good light can help you reduce your depression and even increase your cognitive performance, such as your RTE or reaction time. So various studies have been done to actually determine what lux levels, etc. What is very important is if there's warm light with reddish hues, you feel a sense of angst. And if it is bluer, it's better. You feel much happier. The brighter the light, the more intense the emotions are. So these are so this is something. Now coming to the key planning and design parameters. Now whenever we design hotels, one of the first thing an MEP consultant asks you is for your water load, your electrical load. And suppose if we get this wrong during the design phase, it becomes very difficult for the MEP consultant or the electrical consultant in this case to actually plan for step down or step up transformers. So load segregation, the power supply, etc., has to be planned in a correct manner. It is essential, and not essential areas have to be demarcated. Not essential areas may or may not be on backup, like they may be genset or maybe they may not be gensets. But in hospitals, at least now in all the hospitals we design, we ensure that there's 100% backup. Essential areas must be considered for backup in case of emergency. Also, intensity of lights should be controllable. What happens is a lot of hospitals you'll see are awash with lights, and they're bright, harsh lights. And when you enter into these areas, automatically you feel that you're in a clinical space and you do not feel very happy, or you do not feel very content or safe sometimes. It's like when you enter a hotel, you are like all your senses are working, your sense of smell, your eyesight, etc. And like when you start looking at cleanliness, you start smelling phenyl, etc. And that plays a psychological role in your mind. Now, all the newer hospitals have started using better forms of chemicals like Johnson Diversey and all these other companies. So you really don't feel that you're in a hospital, but you are actually in a hotel. So coming back, in examination rooms, fluorescent lines have to be combined with incandescent wall sconces to achieve the greatest visibility without harshness. Also, when you're working in operation theaters, the lux levels are 1500 lux, because you have to see every pore of the body when you're getting, when you're actually getting operated. Switchboards, wherever there's switchboards, have to be located in dry, well-ventilated space, which is free of flammable material or explosive gases. So these are, there's also something known as shielded isolation transformers, voltage regulators, surge suppressors, also known as servo systems, have to be provided where power line distribution is likely to be affected. Why? Again, in the beginning, we spoke about natural light. Why is it important? Natural light is a key design component in a hospital. Natural light should be maximized and incorporated in the hospital. Natural light gives a patient a sense of bearing and helps them establish orientation of time. This is very, very important for a patient. Whenever I'm in post-op services, I need to understand what is the day or night by looking outside my window. If I'm kept in a closed room, like an NICU, PICU, step-down isolation care unit, when I'm surrounded by darkness, I lose sense of timing. I lose sense of what time it is. I only come to know, especially even if my diet, if I'm on liquid diet, I have no way of knowing, because I know that for breakfast I'll be served XYZ, for lunch I'll be served this, for dinner I'll be served this. So by virtue of the meal, I come to know what time it is. But if you have natural light coming in, then you know exactly what day, what time, or what is the area around. Natural light gives the patient a sense of bearing and helps them to establish orientation of time. Skylights should be optimally used for natural lights, because skylights or areas where light seeps in is very, very important. Study after study has shown that natural light has a positive effect on human bodies and minds. Remarkably, the human eye notices the variation in the direction or intensity of light. These variations occur throughout seasons, throughout time, and it's very, very important for the well-being. Now, so lighting is different in different parts of the hospital. You have lighting in patient, in room, in wards. You have lighting for patients. You have examination lighting. You have night lighting. You have lighting in wards, in corridors, in surgical areas, and they range from 100 lux to around 1000 lux. In a general lighting, you generally need 100 lux. Nursing station is 150 and 300 luxes. And in nighttime, you just need 1 lux, because what happens is generally in rooms, whenever there's a patient, you have that cove lighting on the bottom, that is generally 1 lux. So the whole idea is for the patient to walk to the bathroom without banging or getting hurt. and examination lighting is around 1,000 lux. Now there is something known as glare index, and there's also something known as illumination lux. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will just tell you that in reception, it ranges from 150 luxes, and the most highest lux level is, like I said, it is on the operation theater. You have three types of operation theaters. You have modular OTs and you have regular OTs. Right now, whenever we design hospitals and we do NGPS, medical gas piping, or CSSD design, we ensure that the lux level in either of the OTs is at 50,000 K to 1 lakh K lumens. So, which is very, very bright. Most of these lighting panels are imported, and they are strobe lights which actually illuminate a part of the body which is being used. So that is something very interesting. Dispensaries around 300 this thing. Now coming to energy efficient manner, which I think Mr. Dayal spoke about it, even Swan spoke about it. What is very important is you need to use efficient bulbs of CFL, LEDs. You have to try and limit the use of artificial lights, because in a hospital, like in hotels, HLP, which is heating, lighting, power, is a very important aspect of costs, and we have to, as consultants, try and reduce it. So how do we reduce it? We use dimmers, we use sensors, we use all that, and we also try and do circuits. We do circuits for nighttime, we do circuits for morning time, we do multiple combinations of all of that. And what we also use is BMS, your building management system, where we can actually switch off and switch on things by use of a tab. So these are some technologies which are being used in hospitals. So that was my quick 5-minute on hospitals. Now coming to hotels. Hotels also, I'll be talking about the introduction, the way the electricity supply system is made in a hotel system, the key planning and design parameters, importance again of lighting in hotel design, lighting consideration of various areas in the hotel, and the chart of illumination, which is very, very important. Now, the reason I'm actually doing this class is because as consultants, we are expected to make something known as RCPs, reflected ceiling plans. And that is a requirement which is given to us by our MEP consultants or by the architect. And it is very important for us as consultants to specify what lighting level, where, and what type of light also. Now, there's a massive gray area whether the MEP consultant does it or whether we do it. But as a process, Goranga, our company, has actually started doing these reflected ceiling plans. So this actually helps the electrical consultant also to plan his loads, his drawings, and all of that. Coming back to the introduction, lighting in a hotel is very, very important. If you look at any photographs, the way you actually sell a hotel is all dependent on the lighting. So when you ever see a hotel, you see the external facade lighting, you see the internal lighting, you see the pathways, you see the lights in the hardscape, the softscape, all of that. Also, again, energy saving is something which is undoubtedly, I think, one of the most important things in hotel design, because that is something which just eats away your profits, and especially in a place, in a situation where we are, COVID time, it is very important to reduce our costs so we can spend on things which are more important, and if we don't do this during design stage, it has a lot of impact, and it is very difficult to change lighting at a later stage. Now, lighting trends for hotels. Ideal lighting depends on the nature of the hotel. Now, we have different types of hotels. We have business hotels, we have resorts. Each resort or each hotel or each convention hotel has a different type of lighting. Now, you can't have a paintbrush and you paint everything in the same color. Everything has a specific. The positive experience of hotel depends primarily on the visual impact. The light determines the quality and a very specific effect on the response of our unconscious behavior. To make it into a more account, actually, when you're using light, you have to ensure that it's a creative and emotional use of light uses a balance of both. Now, if you have a look at some of the now what we'll do is we'll come to the supply of the hotel. Hotels require a great amount of power, as you know. We need to provide lights for for the rooms, for the hotel, for the banquets, for everything, for the bars, for the restaurants, for the laundry, etc. Depending on the numbers of services which are provided, the thumb rule is we either give 2 kWh guests per day as a calculation. It can go up to 5 kWh per guest per day or much more. It depends on what type of hotels. When we do balancing or when we do MEP, when we do electrical transformer ratings, we have to take all these quotes into our design parameters. Continuous power is nowadays mandatory in hotels, which means most brands ask for 100% backup. Power should be obtained from at least 2 independent substations. At least if one substation closes down or there's a problem, you can move to another substation. It is very unlikely, but it is an endeavor to actually ensure that we have 2 sources of input power coming in apart from our DG sets, etc. In a single 2-phase system, where the standard is 230 kWh, 3-phase, depending on the power, the load can be 3.3, 6.6, 11, 22, 33 kVA. A little technical. When the voltage supply is above 415 k, the voltage, we need to have something known as a step-down transformer before it can be used in the hotel. Hotel power management is a complex and very challenging. It operates 24/7, 365 days a year. Avoiding downtime is a top priority. Hotels need to reduce the energy peak load and against grid disturbances. Also, you have something known as servos. Maybe at a later date we can talk about it, but I'll just quickly talk about what a servo does. A servo is a small system which actually ensures that the power which is supplied to the hotel is constant. There's no difference in the power. If there is a fluctuation, a lot of the LCDs or the the CFLs coding systems can actually burn, as a result of which servo is very, very important in hotels. And we have to make sure most of us do not put servos in our plan. So this is something which we've learned over the years, especially in places where we design hotels in resorts, like, obscure places in the mountains, or where we are doing, in these clubs and all of that. We have to ensure that we have servos in there. Load segregation and power has to be planned and it has to be implemented. Now, what is very important is the lux level. Like, for example, with circulation and corridors, we need something like 100 lux level, and reception there starts from around 100 through 300 lux level. Now, when we are doing cafe, bars, and restaurant, generally 150 lux is what is recommended. But in the washing area, where dishwashing is, 300 lux is required, and 500 lux level is required in the cooking section. So these are small figures which we have to ensure that the lux level is maintained in the back of the house and FOH. Now, people think that why should the cooking area require 500 lux? Now, when somebody is cutting or using equipment as sharp as what we use in kitchens, we have to make sure we can see everything. And it is important that we have enough lighting. In most hotels, when you go, lighting in back of the house is very inconsistent. And people just assume that we follow the reflected grid ceiling plan and we just put 2x2s, 3x2s, whatever, and we just finish and wash the kitchen with an X amount of light. But there is a formula. This is what needs to be done. And you have lighting meters which can actually check the luminosity value in each area. And that is something which PMC has to do before transferring it to operators or to the owners. And this is something which is not done. And it should be our endeavor as consultants to ensure that the lux level is correct in each and every zone. There are 4 different lighting techniques which are applied in restaurants. They are general lighting, accent lighting, decorative lighting, and natural lighting. General lighting is easy. Accent lighting is if you want to show something, like an artifact or a painting, and decorative lighting is something which is like a chandelier is called decorative lighting. And of course, natural lighting. Natural lighting, again, I will re-emphasize, is the most important form of lighting in a hotel. And it is the best way of trying to reduce your costs is by getting natural lighting into the hotel space. Now, in a hotel room, generally the lux level is 150, which is good. The use of warm white yellow lights it has a relaxing effect to the guest. So it is very important that whatever light which we use is effective and it relaxes you physically and mentally. Selection of fixtures to be used have to be in design or have to be part of the entire design process. So it depends on what you are doing. The reception area, again, between 100 and 300 lux. Cafe bars, like I told you, between 100 to 150. Maximum it goes up to 300 luxes, depending on the type of hotel which you're designing or type of restaurant you're designing. Hotel rooms and bathrooms, 150 to 500 lux. Hallways and corridor, 100 lux is what the process is. Now, so that actually, I come to the end of my my talk on healthcare lighting and hotel lighting. I have a presentation which I could share. So if anybody wants it, can please share the message on the group, or Aajjo can send me a list and I'd be happy to send the presentation to everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Aditya ji, for this wonderful presentation and your discourse on lighting. I really learned so much from it. Didn't realize that, lighting plays such an important role. Of course, lights, camera, action, I know, but then this is different. Yeah, So our next speaker is someone I know personally, and I have interacted for years together. A wonderful gentleman, well-traveled all over the world. I think I met him in different parts of the world that he has worked in, and a very experienced and seasoned professional. He's none other than Mr. Kamal Chauhan. He's the founding partner and is also an associate member of FSCI, Food Services Consultants Society International. He is also the founder of HPTS, a Master of Tourism Administration with specialization in hotel operations, management, and Master of Commerce with over 12 years of hotel operations experience under his belt. He is ex-CEO of a renowned name in kitchen consulting, where he worked for 14 years. Under his leadership, company expanded through Asia, Middle East, and Africa. He has done projects in around 17 countries with various brands like Hilton, Marriott, IHG, Hyatt, Dusit, Rotana, to name a few. He is an expert in designing show and interactive kitchens. He is a specialist in designing standard kitchen models. He is also an expert in hospitality planning aspects, corporate cafeterias, healthcare kitchens, and F&B planning. The person that I know, Mr. Kamal Chauhan, is a wonderful human being, very soft-spoken, very down-to-earth, and an amazingly talented person in the food service segment. All of you, I'm sure Mr. Kamal will agree to what I'm saying. And over to you, Mr. Kamal Chauhan.
Unmute yourself, Neil. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Rajesh, for such kind words. I don't think I deserve so much of it, but thank you very much. I'll straight away come to the topic and the things I'm going to talk now. We have learned so many great things about hospitality planning from the legend Dayal sir. My ex-colleague Swaran Kamal has given a lot of information on refrigeration aspects of kitchens. And of course, Aditya Chef has enlightened us with the lighting aspects. So one very important aspect after learning about the kitchen planning, a logically planned kitchen, best of adjacencies and movements, and then having the best of the equipment, nice lighting, nice refrigeration. A very important aspect in any kitchen or a back of house is the finishes, the civil finishes. And because any equipment is placed on a floor which has to be hygienic, it has to be safe for the staff, it has to be sturdy, it has to be long lasting. There's a lot of trolley movements, heavy equipments are there. Many times you have your vinegars, your chemicals, your hot water which pours on the kitchen, so your finishes has to be very, very good. And with the technical aspects, these also has to be very soothing and good looking also. So I'll take you through a small presentation. Just allow me a sec. I'll just open my screen. I hope everybody can see this.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so today I'm going to cover about the selection of finishes for kitchen floorings, wall finishes, the false ceilings which are required in the kitchens, specialized doors, and of course a very important aspect is the corner angles and the guardrails, because there's a lot of trolley movement in the kitchens. So first, so why finishes are very important for any well-planned kitchen with a very viable flow, most efficiently planned equipment, and a properly designed structure also is needed, which should suits the requirement of a commercial food service space. The parameters, I would see, it should be a simple, because kitchens are prone to clutter, leads to confusion, and if there is a poor sanitation and the finishes are not properly planned, it has a negative effect on the food service operations. And sanitation, which is the most important aspect in any kitchen, the finishes should support the sanitation, and of course the safety of the building and the safety of the staff. It is of the prime importance in any food service operation. So your finishes should support all these three very, very important aspects. Now, first, let's see what kind of floorings we recommend generally in our kitchens. The flooring has to be very, very hygienic. It has to be slip resistant, very easy to clean. And the options include ceramic tiles, which has to be minimum 10 mm thick. And the anti-skid rating has to be R11. Even R12 is also preferred by certain operators. The other option can be a commercial grade vinyl flooring, which has to be at least 3 mm thick. Another very good option is epoxy. It has to be with quartz hardening, and recommended coating is 5 mm thick. And most commonly used in India is a pre-polished natural stone, which is Kota. You will see in many of the older kitchens, Kota is being used. So any commercial kitchen, the important aspect has to be the durability, the longevity, because once a hotel starts its operation, it is for years then. So you can't keep on renovating or changing the floors when a kitchen is operational. So it has to be very, very durable. Resistance to abrasion and impacts is very important because there is a very heavy equipment, heavy trolley movement is there. Hygiene is the most important aspect. Resistance to hot spills is very, very important for any kind of kitchen flooring. And of course, ease of cleaning. There should not be too much of grooves so that you can't clean them properly. It has to be slip resistance because many times the kitchens are wet when the chefs are moving around. If it is not slip resistance, there could be some accidents. And abrasion resistance is also very, very important because there is heavy foot traffic and card movement in the kitchens. So so kitchen flooring, it is not just subject to the matter, but many important other types of projects and products and particles such as oil, grease, fine dust from flour, salt, sugar, all of which can be hazardous in terms of employee foot traffic. So our selection of flooring should take care of all these aspects. Even it has to be thermal shock resistance because many types, many type of kitchen areas like in cold rooms, which is extremely cold, -degrees. Certain oven areas are very hot. So it has to be thermal resistance also. A very important aspect in flooring is the coving. In this presentation, in this slide, you can see there is a joint between the floor and the uh, wall. There is a coving so that there is no dirt accumulation here in the joints, and you can easily clean it. So when it comes to the wall surfaces, there is again a very important thing, which is the hygiene aspect. So any dirt accumulation on the walls should be easily visible. And of course, some kind of element which enhances the beauty of the kitchen can also be introduced. Like in this slide, it is one of the projects in Bangalore. There is one strip of color which is adding a lot of beauty to the kitchen. So any kitchen wall surface has to be smooth, durable, non-abrasement, and easy to clean. Acceptable finishes are ceramic wall tiles with suitable waterproof, easily cleanable. The grouting has to be flushed. Stainless steel sheeting and panels are also very popular these days because they can also be easily cleaned. If we use a tile which is large enough, it reduces the grout lines and maintenance becomes very easy. The repairing becomes very easy. Any grouts between the tiles has to be epoxy based so that it can provide moisture resistance and flexibility under expansion and contraction conditions. So any kind of material what we are choosing for our project for the walls, again, it has to be very fast to install. The material with high strength to weight ratio, that is steel panels, which makes the wall strong, should be long lasting so that frequent changes could be avoided, and maintenance and repair frequently could also be avoided. It should help preventing the bacteria, mold, and virus growth in the kitchen. It should be bright, smooth, so that it reflects the light. Any dirty spots can easily be visible and cleaned. Very important aspect of kitchen ceilings. All kitchens we recommend it has to be properly. There has to be a proper false ceiling for all kitchen and food service areas. It is not just the concentration and of dust and the condensation of vapors which are accumulated on any ceiling, and there are certain other aspects also, like you have cobwebs, you have lizards which crawls on the ceilings. So we should always go with some kind of false ceiling. When we do the daily cooking, there are vapors, there are deposits of fat, there are airborne residues on the kitchen surfaces. So if we don't have a nice which ceiling which is washable, we can't clean it properly. So preferred options are stainless steel ceiling panels. There are powder coated ceiling panels also. Preferred sizes are 600 by 600. The material has to be heavy gauge so that it is long lasting. It should be removable and washable and should be sag resistant. Any kitchen ceiling has to be waterproof. It has to be durable. Material has to be cleanable. Lot of places, the materials which the ceiling panels, they are removed and often cleaned in the dishwash. So that is why we always recommend it has to be stainless steel panels. Any ceiling material should reflect your lighting also, as Chef Aditya rightly said. The proper lighting is very, very important in any kitchen. It enhances the mood of the staff also, and also the working becomes very easy. So if you have like black or some, ceilings which are not properly reflecting your lights, you can't achieve the required lux levels as suggested by Aditya. Now, when it comes to the kitchen doors, there are several kind of doors. Like some doors are when you are entering the kitchen. The other type of doors are between the restaurant and the kitchen. There are partitions which are segregating various temperature zones, like in cold rooms, in your bakery area, separating the confectionery, which requires less temperature, and segregating the oven rooms, which are comparatively hotter. So there are partitions, and then there are cold room doors. Again, when we select the kitchen doors, it has to be durable and heavy duty. It has to be fire resistant as per the guidelines by the local fire authorities, the brand, and should also have a view panel for the safety, because they are constantly used by the staff, and there's a lot of to and fro movement between one kitchen area and the other kitchen area. So the doors which are between the kitchen and the restaurants are often driven by interiors and aesthetics. However, we should strictly follow the safety and durability and the hygiene factors. Spaces in the kitchen wherein movement is heavy, still segregation is required for hygiene purpose or to maintain the temperature, such as in such cases we provide PVC strip curtains. Cold rooms doors are insulated and are integrated with the cold room panels and are often manufactured, supplied and installed by the cold room manufacturer. Now there are certain other aspects also apart from the kitchen. In any back of house area, there is staff cafeteria, there is staff lockers, change rooms, there are stores, corridors and lift lobbies, engineering and maintenance areas, laundry, waste management areas, administration offices. So everywhere we do not need to follow the same specifications as we follow in the food production areas. Staff cafeterias are often driven by interiors now. Gone are the days when we had plain gray staff cafeterias. Now, a lot of places you have even the BOH interior designer also. And there are some companies in India which are providing specialized services for BOH interiors. So many places, the aesthetics overrule the functionality in staff areas. Then there are stores. We generally don't have to go with SS ceiling panels in the stores. But yes, other cleaning parameters, hygiene parameters should be followed, like covings, corner angles. There are corridors where maximum MEP services are run through in the ceilings. So here also we don't force like to go with SS ceiling panels. You can go with water resistant normal ceiling panels. Corner angles and guardrails are very important so that it can resist the impact by trolley movements. When it comes to laundries, again, the laundries has to be very safe. It has to be, the finishes has to be very durable. It has to be hygienic, same like kitchens. Recommendations for kitchens can be followed for flooring in laundries also. When recommended heights in the laundries are not achievable, often we suggest like you can go without a false ceiling also. But yes, your services has to be properly finished with nice epoxy based coatings so that you can properly clean them. And wherever ceilings are possible, water resistant ceilings are always suggested. Wall panels, wall tiles and floors has to be sturdy and durable, same like kitchens, and has to be hygienic and slip resistant. Again, the waste management areas, hygiene conditions, of course, it's a garbage and the waste area, but it has to be most sanitized and hygienic area. So the same finishers should follow the waste management area. As far as the offices and administration areas are concerned, here mostly it is aesthetically driven. It is the only area where logics follows is the adjacencies in the offices. The rest, carpets, ceilings, walls, or glass panels, etc., is all ID driven. As I was previously mentioning, like corner angles and guardrails are very important. Guardrails can be of metal or heavy duty fiber. Corner angles are always preferred of steel. It is only to protect your walls and your nicely done finishes for the uh, corners. So each area where there is a lot of trolley movement, we always suggest to go in for guardrails and corner angles. That's the end of my presentation. There's a lot of areas where kitchens are visible to the guests, where kitchens are interactive. Here, functionality is considered, but aesthetics always overrule. So mostly when it comes to the show kitchens, finishes are driven by the design and aesthetics. But of course, the slip resistance, etc., like in the bars, in the vestibule areas where the guest can also see this a lot of movement, we always suggest like we should go in with the metal ceiling panels. colors can be decided by the interior designer. The floor tiles has to be slip resistance. Colors and aesthetics can be decided by the interior designers. And of course, when it comes to the bar, we always go in for additional safety for our bartenders, and we suggest 3M mats. So that's it. I think I've covered most of the areas. Any questions, etc. If anything on finishes, Rajesh, you can.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us again on flooring. And your topic was really a very important topic, which covered a lot of aspects. And I, at this moment, have a question for Mrs. Swan Kamal. This is from Mehul Shah. What is U-flow technology? Can you explain in detail? I mean, we don't have time for detail because we just have 7-8 minutes to wrap up. We will take a couple of questions. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Neil. I have a couple of questions for you. I'll come back there. Okay, so coming back to this new flow technology. So what happens is the breathing which happens in the refrigerators. Normally, those compressors are being kept on the side, and then, breathing the vents that gets created. That is also at the back. So that way what happens is when the air circulation is not enough for you to kind of breathe, U-flow technology is when you are sucking the air from the front and you are throwing itself in the front. So there is no need for you to kind of really leave the ventilated vents on the side. So what happens is you're not allowing any side. Normally you will see that, especially in the case of under counter chiller, that gets, attached with something else, or back there'll be some walls. So U-flow technology is a new technology, whereas breathing and breathe out, this entire circulation of air happens only from the front. No dependency on those back on side vents. So that ensures your refrigerators are working efficiently.
Thank you so much. I have a question to Mr. Neil Kamal. Neil Saab, you've done projects all over the world. I had posed this question to Mr. Naresh Sani also, because everybody will be very curious to know, when you do projects all over the world, there are a lot of statutory requirements to do a project. It's not same everywhere. Whether you do a project in India, you do a project in Sri Lanka, you do a project in Dubai, you do a project in US or elsewhere in Africa. So what are the challenges that you faced? In a very nutshell, I'm going to say just a few lines. If you can just, let people know. Yeah.
See, mostly challenges is the space which is allocated for the back of house. The more you are into a city like Dubai, the spaces are very, very less. And more it is a resortish area, you can get ample amount of space for yourself. So space is really a big challenge. The other challenge I feel is on the sanitation and hygiene aspects, like the statutory requirements you were talking about. Places like Dubai, they are very, very strict on hygiene aspects. Maybe India, coming years, this will be followed. A lot of brands have started, focusing on this now. But places like Dubai, you need to completely segregate your waste movement from your fresh movement. Your staff movement has to be totally segregated. So a lot of areas, either we need to do where there is a space constraint. Suppose there is a restaurant, we do time management of waste movement, and all hotels, we plan a separate corridor for waste movement, which has to be totally separate from your fresh food movement. So these are the couple of challenges. And of course, when you are dealing with various brands requirements are becoming more stringent these days. So following these requirements is also a challenge in almost all the projects. They have specific guidelines for particular equipment brand. Then you have an owner, he has got a particular budget. So many times I feel that is also a challenge.
So part two of my question is, apart from India, which other country you have enjoyed working in, and maybe one or two reasons, why.
I think apart from India, I've enjoyed working more in Dubai because the interference from the owner is negligible there. Owner just appoints you under an architect who is the lead consultant there. He drives the project. The duration of design is very, very less. Once you are designing, your design is approved. The changes are very, very less. Unlike in India, your design development goes with the project development. So till the time the hotel does not open, design changes keep on happening. You propose something, it is finalized with the operator, owner also approves it, and all of a sudden, owners visit some nice restaurant or a hotel and they want to implement it. So that is the kind of challenge which is there in India, which is not there in the projects overseas. So in overseas projects, especially in Middle East, once your design is frozen, you have given the tender documents, there is no changes. And owners hardly interferes. You have an owner's representative who just oversees the project, your deliverables, and coordinates with various agencies, and that's it. So
Thank
once
you.
your design is approved by the operator, no
It's
changes.
done.
It's done.
So Swan Kamal sir, do you have a question for him? You raised your hand.
We have only 4 minutes, so
Yeah, I know. So I have very quick question for Aditya ji. Aditya ji, you have done a lot of hospitals. So how challenging it is to do a hospital kitchen than doing a hotel kitchen? Just a key difference, one or two.
Okay, so it's actually much easier to do a hospital kitchen because most of the people, like when you're doing hotel kitchens, you have operators, you have hoteliers, you have everybody who has an opinion on a design of a kitchen. And if I can do a hotel kitchen in, let's say, 6 months or 3 months, I can do a kitchen for a healthcare facility in a month. Now, the reason being, it is also much similar because you have a specific diet kitchen, then you have a renal kitchen, you have formula rooms, and apart from that, you have bulk cooking. So the rest of it is all the same. But these are 3-4 aspects which are a little different. Your dispatch section and your dishing out section is what is very important in design. So yes, designing a healthcare kitchen is much easier than a hotel kitchen, much faster.
Thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful session and we all enjoyed interacting with each other and also hearing from the stalwarts. The knowledge that was shared is tremendous, and I'm sure a lot of people have notebook full of notes to go through, and I have taken personally notes, yes, of course. And lastly, I would like to Dayal Saab to have a few words and a word of thanks. Thank you, Aajjo team. You have done a wonderful job. This, in fact, it indeed is a very well organized event, and we really appreciate your efforts. And thank you so much for bringing us to this platform, bringing us together. And we would love to partner with you again to do seminars, webinars, whatever you want. And thank you once again. So over to you, Dayal Saab, and you can close it.
There are certain questions being asked. I think one or two are from me.
Yeah, sure. So do we have time,
Aajjo
team? Do we have 1 or 2 minutes to answer the question?
We have 2 minutes before we
proceed. Okay. So can you ask the question, Aajjo team? Or Neel Kamal Saab, would you like
I can straight away.
Yes,
One
sir.
question is from Swaran, which is on the PU flooring. See, personally, Swaran, I really don't like. The best thing I like is either a tile or a pre-polished Kota stone. PU flooring, I mean, all these inventions have been taken place in place where the kitchens does not have tandoors, does not have grills. So, I mean, you can do it in a veg prep area. You can do it in all the, pre-prep areas, in the bakery also. But yes, when it comes to a area where you have a grill, you have a tandoor, when you are taking it out from a sink, your rotis, etc., you are bound to put some maybe heat ash, hot ash, or maybe part of coal burnt coal. So it will spoil your flooring. And I have personally seen it in one of the projects in Delhi, where I won't name the company. A nicely lit floor was done, but after maybe an year or so, it has to be changed from the kitchen area. PU floors are very good for prep areas. For wherever the hot kitchen is there, I would always prefer a tile or a sturdy floor. The other question was for ventilated ceiling. So ventilated ceiling is actually a hood. It is not a ceiling. It is amalgamated with the kitchen ceiling so that it looks nice. Personally, I prefer these ceilings in show kitchens or the places where the heights are very, very less. So these ceilings, the drop down is very less. You can start your ventilated ceiling from 2.6 meters also, rather than your hood starting from 2.1. So the visibility increases. The efficiency is almost same. Halton and other companies, Vianen, I'm sure Triple S, they do a very nice ventilated ceiling. Some of the places I've done it and they are extremely successful, but they are actually exhaust hoods.
Swanji, you have a question or you just raised your hand? Yeah, you're going to say something?
This was my old raised hands.
Oh, okay. So over to you, Dayal Saab, and then Mr. Agarwal can close it. Sir, you are on mute. Dayal Saab, you are on mute. Mute. Yeah.
Thank you, Anandji, Agarwalji, Rajesh, from FSCI, the founder. And I thank each and every panel speaker from webinar 1, Imtiaz, Naresh, one and all. Sanjeev Deshmukh was not able to join us due to a death in the family. Otherwise, he would have shared a lot on equipment design and ordering. We'll have a special session from him and others to join him in the couple of weeks to come. We request all the participants of this World Hospital Expo show to be in touch with the FSCI through Facebook, LinkedIn, and we are there to share our knowledge and expertise and support you in a big way.
Let's give you a big hand for being the backbone of this event. You've really been the anchor of this entire, both the events. And Mr. Agarwal, would you agree with this?
I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and
we thank you for
very,
this.
very nice to hear Neil Kamal and Chauhan Kamal. In fact, the topic, Chauhan had something else, but I said no. He spoke to me about his expertise. I said no, speak on refrigeration. So that was good.
He did great.
That was very good, and everybody's done a great job in the webinar 1 and today's webinar. I'm sure there are a lot more questions which each one of us should be asked and we should answer happily, right? So please give your questions to Aajjo team and we will happily answer. All the speakers will definitely do their best in the times to come to join FSCI in sharing knowledge and giving strength to our industry now and forever. Not just in our country, but we wish to learn even from our global experts and also share our expertise with them. And we want to make sure that we in our country join together, collaborate, and give the best to our country. Not only in our country, but hospitality at large is suffering in every country.
Globally.
So
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Join together and give the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Agarwal.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all of our esteemed panelists for joining us. And I would like to agree with Mr. Rajesh. Mr. Dayal has moderated it really, really well. And that comes with a lot of experience. Thank you for being here and have a nice day. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.